Knowledge has beginning but no end. A very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome you all for the day 4 of 1 week national level faculty development program on outcome based education, jointly organized by the Department of BCom Accounting and Finance and BCom Corporate Secretaryship in association with Internal Quality Assurance Cell of Sri Krishnaswamy College for Women. It's my pleasure to introduce our chief guest for the day, Dr. Sharan Kumar Shetty, Associate Professor, Academic Coordinator, and member of governing body MSN Institute of Management, Mangaluru. He is an acknowledged professional with vast experience in both academics and industry, veteran in the field of management education, research and administration, with a vibrant career spanning nearly 2 decades that reflects rich Indian and overseas experience and success in teaching, training, research, and educational leadership. Dr. Shetty is a trainer for financial markets and conducted numerous training programs in national and international platforms on the topics such as finance for non financial executives, startup mantras for educators and budding leaders, research aim and title formation, career guidance, higher education, leadership, and impact of digitalization in education system. Dr. Shetty started career in Accenture as a trainer, served as a visiting faculty in XLRI, Christ, PAST, IBMS, IBMR, IABS, and moved to Malaysia to continue his further academic service. He has undertaken assignments in Sri Lanka, Bhutan, Philippines, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, and Malaysia, and various other countries. Developed content for ODL program and delivered training programs to the real estate certification in the Asian countries. Dr. Shetty is a certified trainer for CMA US and ACCA program. He holds a credit of training executives of top Indian and foreign banks like ICICI, Axis, Kotak, RBL Malaysian Bank, and HSBC. Presented and published various papers in national and international journals. Dr. Shetty has been associated with top institutions in India and abroad as a governing council member and also a member of Board of Studies. Dr. Sharon is a recognized supervisor for PhD and BBA programs of Malaysian and Singaporean universities, getting scholars from Kenya, Nepal, etc. He is an inspirational speaker too and delivered various programs in radio and television channels. I once again welcome you, sir, and over to you, sir. Sir, sorry for interruption, sir.
that. I think yes, now it's okay. Is it okay now? Is it fine? Yeah, okay. You want me to start from the beginning, right? Yeah, yeah. Okay, hope it is visible now. Yeah. So I was talking about outcome based education, OBE, the impact of OBE practice in the graduate performance in the workplace, especially in the corporate world, how students will perform once they undergo the OBE process. So, this particular session, I'm going to cover the objectives, that is, to prepare academic staff for the forthcoming qualification agency and the EAC continuing accreditation visits, to introduce, instill, and enhance the understanding of OBE in the minds of faculty members, to familiarize with the students' learning, that is actually the SLT, time and credit calculations, and to explain the three domains of Bloom's educational goals, plus to highlight on the application and the implementation of quality management systems and also CQI. So these are the objectives of the program on the OBE. What is the outcome of this workshop? At the end of the session, the participants will be able to briefly explain what is OBE and the learning outcome of OBE, understand and explain the student learning time, that is SLT, and the credit hours. I'm just going to tell you what are those credit hours, how many credit hours they're supposed to follow. Explain three domains of the Bloom's educational goals and the application. And the last one is tabulate weekly content outcome on the course and the SLT. Now, what are the other attributes we should learn? Map the assessment to the course learning outcome, that is, we call it as a CLO. We have mapped the course learning outcome, CLO, to the program learning outcome, that is PLO, understanding the QMS and the CQI culture. And we have Kara, we have Pars, and also Para as the part of the CQA process. I'll just tell you what is this program outcome, what is this program learning outcome, and CO, that is course outcome, as per the NBA process. Education that is out or is based on a learner centered, that will result oriented, that will facilitate the students to learn through the support of OBE system. Now, what is OBE? OBE focuses on what student can actually do after they are taught. Second point, expect all the students to successfully achieve particular aspect which is covered in the syllabus, level of the knowledge and the abilities. See, OBE is totally about outcome based education, wherein what students can actually do after they taught, what are the expectation of the corporate once they taught under the OBE system. OBE that addresses the following key issues. First one, what do you want the students to be able to do? Second one, how can you best help students to achieve it? Third one, how will you know whenever they have a point to achieve something good? Then, how do you measure the attainment? There are some calculations through which you have to measure the outcomes. OB, in short, it's not what we teach, it is what the students learn. That is the utmost objective of outcome based education. It is not what the teacher teaches, but it is the students what they learn out of it. OBE involves a restructuring of the curriculum, assessment methods, reporting practices to reflect the achievement of high order learning and mastery rather than accumulation of the course credits. See, when we talk about the course credits, if at all a particular course has got, let us take example of an MBA education. In MBA, we have in a semester total 6 subjects. If each subject has got 4 credit means 4 into 6 is equal to 24. 24 into 4. There are how many semesters? There are 4 semesters. 24 into 2 is 48. 24 into 4 is 96. And remaining 4 credit can be given to the project work. So total it will be around 100 credit hours for a particular program. Let us take example of engineering program. Engineering program has got 150 credit hours. There are 4 years of engineering degree and each year has got around 35 to 36 credit hours. Each semester has got 36 credit hours, I mean each year. So that is how the credit hour is designed. One credit hour is equal to 14 hours. 14 hour into 4 is equal to 14 into 4 is equal to 56. So these many classes a particular faculty has to conduct. Restructuring of curriculum, assessment methods, reporting practice to reflect the achievement of high order learning and mastery than accumulation of course credits. I hope everybody understood what is course credit. Amongst expected changes, curriculum restructuring revision. We have to revise the curriculum. Faculty need to restructure the curriculum and there must be an evaluation which has to take place every semester. Completion of every semester, the curriculum has to be revamped. Restructure of the curriculum has to be made. There should be some faculty members, exclusively the external faculty, they have to vet the curriculum. Then we have innovative, flexible delivery methods, variety of assessment and evaluation methods, collection of evidences, continuous quality improvement, closing the loop. This is what is continuous quality improvement, CQI. We call it as a CQI. What are the real benefits of a OBE system? More directed and coherent curriculum. When a particular university goes for a OBE system, there is a coherent and there is a right structure of the curriculum. Graduates will be more relevant to industry and other stakeholders, more well-rounded graduates. Continuous quality improvements, CQI, is an inevitable consequence. Continuous quality improvement which has to be followed every semester. That revision has to happen end of every semester. So this is about the benefit of OBE. There is a question, why OBE? 1980, the industry was technology driven. That is, example, electronic manufacturing and heavy industries. 1990, there was concern about the quality of graduates joining the workforce. Graduates who can't do given set of tasks, have knowledge but can't perform, have irrelevant knowledge. Employers can't afford to retrain fresh employees. If you look at today's scenario, the employers looking for the candidates who already well trained in their student life. if they come after they come to the company, after they join the company, if these people again they have to spend a lot of money for the training. So that kind of a, that kind of a zamana is no more now, because the employers, they want a ready made product today. During our days, when we join, we will be under training, we will be on training for 6 months or a 1 year. But now that trend is gone. They want the ready product, finished, I can say it's a finished product, which they have to be ready to, go for a on board. 2000 quality assurance was implemented. In 2000, quality assurance was implemented to improve the situation. Implementation of OBE in June 2006. OBE was implemented in Malaysia. First and foremost, 2006, OBE initially implemented in Malaysia after Washington DC, in the with Washington Accord requirement. Because as per the Washington Accord requirement, it has been implemented. Engineering program started using the OBE. August 2008, first accreditation of engineering program in Malaysia. Washington Accord, that is WA, in a short form we call it as a WA. The Washington Accord is an international agreement among bodies responsible for accrediting engineering degree programs, signed in 1989. It recognizes the substantial equivalency of programs accredited by those bodies and recommends that graduates of the program accredited by any of the universities or the bodies be recognized by the other bodies as having met all the conditions which was fulfilled as per the conditions stipulated by Washington DC. 17 WA signatories. We have countries like Australia, represented by Engineers Australia 1989. We have Canada, represented by Engineers Canada 1989. We have Chinese Taipei, which was represented by Institution of Engineering Education Taiwan 2007. Hong Kong, China. Again, Hong Kong is a part of China, though it is an undivided entity, represented by the Hong Kong Institution of Engineering 1995. India, represented by National Board of Accreditation, we call in India as NBA 2014. Ireland, represented by Engineer Ireland 1989. Japan, represented by Japan Accreditation Board for Engineering and Education 2005. Korea, represented by Accreditation Board for Engineering Education of Korean in 2007. In Malaysia, represented by Board of Engineers Malaysia 2009. New Zealand, represented by Institution of Professional Engineers, that is NZ 1989. Russia, represented by Association for Engineering Education Russia 2012. Singapore, represented by Institution of Engineers Singapore 2006. South Africa, represented by Engineering Council of South Africa 1999. Sri Lanka, represented by Institution of Engineers Sri Lanka 2014. Turkey, represented by Mudke, that is 2011. United Kingdom, represented by Engineering Council, that is UK 1989. United States, represented by Accreditation in Board for Engineering and Technology 1989. When you see the relevancy of OBE for rating accreditation requirements, quality assurance audit by the Ministry of Higher Education, Malaysian qualification framework, so gives an emphasis on the learning outcomes. Accreditation requirement for the professional programs by professional bodies emphasizes learning outcomes. When you see the outcome, OBE philosophy, you see there is a focus on outcomes. One is curriculum design, teaching and learning, and we do have assessment. When you look at this OBE philosophy, focus on the outcome, we do have curriculum design, we have in teaching and learning, we have it in assessment. Now, measuring outcomes. How are you going to measure the outcomes? A shift room, just measuring input, the process to include measuring the output, that is outcome. Input to process, that is a lecture method to learning method. Please understand that. And also we have a output, that is actually a total outcome, which has to be through the PEOs, that is program educational objectives, program learning outcomes, course learning outcomes. So these are the three important attributes of program educational objectives, program learning outcome, and what we call it as course learning outcome. Different levels of learning outcomes. We have program educational objective, program learning outcome, we have course learning outcome, and also weekly, we call it as a topic outcome. Few years after graduation, 4 to 5 years, upon graduation, the second level, upon course completion, and also at the end, union, it is actually about upon the weekly topic completion. When you see this program educational objective, PEO, we call this as a PEO. PEO can be measured only after a student, once he gets graduated, he will become an alumni of the institution, alumnus of the institution. There, based on his performance, his PEO will be decided. Program education objectives statement that describe the expected accomplishments of a graduate few years after 4 to 5 years graduation. When you see the PEO for the engineering program, a few years after graduation, the student should turn out a PEO statement which says he should be competent. PO1 talks about a competent graduate who can apply engineering knowledge in practice. PO2 talks about graduates who can communicate effectively, demonstrate leadership skills, and exhibit high degree of professionalism. PO3 talks about graduates who are environmentally conscious and possess entrepreneurial skills. PO4 talks about graduates who embark on lifelong learning for career advancement. So these are the PO which is stipulated by Washington DC as per outcome based education. Program learning outcomes, PLOs or PO, program outcomes, statements that describe what students are expected to know and able to do by the time of upon graduation. It is covering the knowledge, the skill, the attitude. I'm going to explain you what is this knowledge, which is called as a cognitive, which is connected to head, skill, which is a psychomotor, which is connected to hand, attitude, which is connected to heart, and it is also called as affective. Now, when we talk about the end of the learning process, students are expected to be able to, there is a PLO1 till PLO7. PLO1 talks about engineering knowledge, the knowledge, the application of knowledge. It can be mathematical, science, engineering, fundamentals, and other engineering factors. PLO2, problem analysis. Here in this case, to identify, formulate, research literature, and analyze the complex engineering problems. In PLO3, we have design development of the solution. It is design solution for the complex engineering problems. We have PLO4, investigation. Here in this case, conduct investigation into complex problems using research based knowledge. PLO5, talks about the engineering and the society apply reasoning by contextual knowledge, environment and the sustainability, and also we have project management and finance. We still have till PLO 12, we have PLO 8, program learning outcome, individuals and teamwork, we have communication, we have modern tool usage, we do have ethics, lifelong learning, all that. So these are the PLOs. Course learning outcomes. What is course learning outcomes? The intended learning to be acquired by the specific modules. The students must demonstrate achievement of the course learning outcome in order to pass the course. And then when you see the CLO, you can find here the CLO is divided into 6 categories. Describe road construction issues in general, C1, C2, C6, A1, P1. And discuss, we have analyze, we have discuss again, we have justify, we have evaluate, we have execute. So this is the pattern of the relationship between the CLOs, PLOs, and we have POs and the compliance of the stakeholders. When you see this, whom are we looking as a stakeholder? For a particular organization, when we talk about an educational institution, who are the stakeholders? The stakeholders are the main stakeholders are the corporates who are going to recruit the students, the professional bodies, example the EAC and BEM bodies. We have quality assurance teams, JPTs. We have institutional requirement. Nowadays, people are talking about, there is a national ranking framework. So these are all part of it. DC, VC, DVC, Dean HOD, all of them part and parcel of these program specs. Now, student learning time, SLT. Please remember, time to learn. It's called as a SLT. Student learning time is an effective learning time or the student effort in learning in order to achieve the specified learning outcomes, inclusive of all the learning time components, learning activities, that is formal and non-formal. Then we have total time required by a student to learn a particular component of curriculum. Let me take an example. You may be having a 4 credit program of, as I told you, around 56 hours time. But your SLT is consist of 120 hours. Each credit has got 30 hours. 30 into 4 is equal to 120 hours. So this is how we have to manage the hourly. Effective learning time, in this case, effective learning time or the student academic lead care that can be seen from the different angles, that is actually such as about 8 hours per day or 40 working hours a week. 8 into 5s are 8 5s are 40. 670 hours study hour for 14 weeks. So normal of 15 into 16, maximum of 22 credits, and also 1 credit is equal to 40 SLT per semester. 1 credit is equal to 40, 4 credits are equal to 160. 4 fours are 160. Approximate, appropriate, you can calculate it as an appropriate way. It reflects the student's achievements. Definition of a credit. A credit is a quantitative measurement by all the learning activity required to achieve the learning outcomes. So we have to meet the learning outcomes through the support of a credit. Definition of a credit: student centered approach. The education system, as per the OBE norm, it has to be a student centric approach. It is not a faculty centric approach. A notional value of 40 hours effort learning time is allocated as a credit. It is normally effort of an average achiever in semester of 14 weeks delivery duration. It includes all the learning components or learning activities, that is attending the formal instruction guaranteed in the organization. Student centered learning, in this case, students will be equally responsible for their own learning. Engagement of both students and the lecturers will be more visible there. When you see this particular aspect, you can see teacher centered versus student centered, teacher centered versus student centered learning. In the case of teacher centered learning, from teacher centered learning, you can see the approach, which is a traditional teaching. The teacher owns the knowledge and the convey it to the students. The teacher is bringing the content and the answers into the training room with him. But in the case of student centered to student centered approach, in modern teaching, the ideas to allow the student, the trainee, to learn as much as possible by himself. The teacher acts as a coach who is asking questions and provides guidelines for the acquisition of knowledge. So this is the difference, major difference. These are the major differences between student centric and the teacher centric. Factors in calculating the credit. How are we going to calculate the credit? Face to face, guided learning time, student self-centering, student self-learning and the centered time, total assessment time. So these are the three criteria. When you see the factors in calculating the credit hours, it's a teaching, it's a learning, it's an assessment. Example, 4,800 notional SLT is equal to 120 credits. That means if at all the credit cover is 30, I mean 3 credit hours, it is equal to 120. If it is a 4 credit hour, it is equal to 160. Because 1 credit hour is equal to, generally we calculate as, in India, we calculate 1 credit is equal to 10 hours. If it is a 4 credit means 40 hours. But from the international level, 1 credit hour is equal to 14 hours. 14 times 4 is equal to 56. And that 56, if you minus that from, subtract that from 160, you will be left with 104 hours. These 104 hours are called as the extra hours, wherein student has to take an opportunity to view that. Effective and quality time, understanding of the nominal available time in human life. It's a two major components: time for routine, that is a nature activities, that is a sleeping, physical exercise, traveling, etc. We have time left to be benefited from or for self improvement, that is also for work or for study. So this particular chart will give you what is the hour in which students have to spend in order to meet that 4 credit course. 4 into 30 is equal to 120. If at all it is 3 credit, 4 into 40 is equal to 160 if at all it is 4 credit course. Recommended student learning time, SLT, for a diligent student, 17-week semester, 8 hours a day, 48 hours a week, 816 hours for 17 weeks, 20.4 credit per semester, 5.8 semesters for a 120 credits bachelor's. So this is how 17 weeks is equal to 14 weeks of teaching, 1 week each for semester, break, study break, and other activities. Then when you see this student learning time, SLT time, you can find how these timing is different from each aspect over here. Now this is how student learning time SLT calculation is being made. Student learning time SLT calculation, just you put your number of hours here and it will produce the number of hours on which the students have to focus. Levels of qualifications of the minimum graduating credits, we have Bloom's taxonomy. In the Bloom's taxonomy, when the design of the question paper is made, the faculty member, they have to they have to moderate the questions which has been stipulated in the Bloom's taxonomy. So this is how the Bloom's taxonomy is designed. Taxonomy of educational objective, that is BS Bloom's 1956. Bloom's taxonomy is a classification of learning objectives within education. Bloom's taxonomy divides educational objectives into three dominants. One is affective, psychomotor, and cognitive. One of the goals of Bloom's taxonomy is to motivate, educate the students in all three domains, creating the psychomotor, creating the affective, and also creation of cognitive implementation in the minds of students. The three domains of the educational goals, as I told you, one is cognitive, the head; psychomotor, the hand; and affective, the heart. That is what is called as 3H. Level of domains, we have cognitive domain, knowledge, 6 levels. We have psychomotor domain, skill at 7 level. We have affective domain, that is attitude, 5 levels. The levels of domains, there is a course outcome. When you see cognitive, affective, and the psychomotor, the cognitive principle has got evaluation, synthesis, analysis, application, comprehension, knowledge. Affective, exhibit, display, demonstrate. Organization, valuing, responding, receiving. Psychomotor, we have naturalization, articulation, precision, manipulation. We do have initiation or imitation. So these are the cognitive principles on which everything works towards that. We have a knowledge, we have a comprehension, we do have application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Under knowledge, we have definitions, we have different types of knowledge implementations. Under psychomotor, we have aspects like perception, set. We do have the guided revenue, we have mechanisms, all that it is part of psychomotor. We have affective. Under affective, we have receiving parameter, responding parameter, valuing parameter, organization parameter. What level of learning should be subjects offer? See, Bloom's taxonomy of learning, we have undergraduate of C4, P4, A3. We have masters C5, P5, A4. Your PhD 6, P6, and A5. Cognitive is equal to affective C plus A plus P. That is cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Application of the Bloom's taxonomy. How are we going to make the application of the Bloom's taxonomy? I just want to tell you how the Bloom's taxonomy works. When we talk about the cognitive principles, when you see these cognitive principles, there is a knowledge principle. We can talk about the definition. There is a sample verbs like define, identify. We have label, we have list, name, recall, and the state. Under the comprehensive parameter, we have describe, discuss, explain. We have locate, paraphrase, give example, and translate. Under the application, we do have apply, carry out, demonstrate, illustrate, prepare, solve, and use. Then sample verbs under the analysis case: analyze, categorize, compare, contrast, differentiate, discriminate, and outline. Under the synthesis, we have combine, construct, design, develop, generate, plan, and propose. And the last parameter which we have it on: assess, conclude, evaluate, interpret, justify, select, and support. Let us form a question. When we are forming a question, we have to consider all these three parameters. As I told you, Bloom's taxonomy has got cognitive principle, it has got psychomotor principle, it also has the last principle called as affective principle. as it is clearly mentioned here: cognitive, affective, psychomotor. Cognitive is connected to the head, which is actually knowledge. Cognitive is always knowledge. How are you going to judge the knowledge? You have to evaluate the process. The evaluation of the process has to happen. There should be a synthesis of the process. Once the synthesis is done, you have to analyze that. After analysis, you have to prove the application of some practical exponents. Then there is a comprehension, the comprehension of the knowledge, which is cognitive. In the cognitive case, the reality of a particular question will be measured through the support of the knowledge level of the student. I'm going to ask a question. Define what is. If I say identify, if I ask the question like, if I ask the question as analyze, it is also a comprehensive kind of question. When it comes to effective, we have exhibit, display, demonstrate. We have organization, valuing, responding, receiving. So effective has got exhibit, display, demonstrate, organize, valuing, and responding, receiving cases. Then finally we have naturalization, articulation, precision, manipulation, and intimation. Also we call it as a imitation. Imitation is the right word, because there are circumstances wherein the students will ask to develop something, wherein he can imitate, he can see to that what kind of a imitation he can perform there, that imitation of something. So that has got, especially when it comes to the management education, we have to develop some cases. We have to see to that these case studies are learnt or studied, and they have taken into particular justification. So that is why when we see the domains, higher order domain, lower order domain. In the case of higher order domain, we have evaluation, we have synthesis, we have analysis. In the case of effective, we have exhibit, display, and demonstrate. So there you can come to know that what is the level on which each category highlights its own aspirations towards the questions. One is, when you talk about the cognitive has got, as I told you, knowledge, comprehension, application, analyze. So there may be some question which consist of apply this principle for the development of this strategy, or analyze the financial statements. There are financial statements available. It can be an income statement, it can be a balance sheet, any statement for that matter. So you need to analyze that statement. Analysis of that statement, you have to analyze the statement. So that is important. You need to analyze, you have to comprehend, there should be a synthesis, and there should be an evaluation. So these are the attributes. For example, on evaluation stage, there is a judgment which is made based on the value created out of it, and there is an assessment, conclusion should be given. You have to evaluate, interpret, justify, and select support. So these attributes you have to implement. And psychomotor, as you all know, psychomotor talks about your perception. How did you set this into account? And your guideline, and the way the guided response has been created. There is a mechanism, there is a complete overt response, and adoption. How the adoption is possible? Adoption adopts the skill sets of the meet a problem situation. There is a sample verbs, which is an adoption of the recognized alters the revised changes. Then there is a definition of the create, which creates the patterns for the specific situation. And there is a sample verb which is called as designs, original, combines. We have composes that will construct the result. So any research, whenever you want to get into any kind of a research, the psychomotor attribute has got its own effect, because the psychomotor that comes through the attitude, that is heart. Again, that is how the heart, head and hand is decided. And again affective also, there is a receiving factor, there is a responding factor, valuing factor, organizing factor, international internalizing factor. In internalizing factor, we have to integrate the value into a value system that controls the behavior, In that case, we have to act upon, advocate, defend. We need to know the exemplify formulae. We have to know influential formula. Then we have to see to that justification has been made on the behavior of a particular student. So this is how, that is the way the measurement of these criteria is being made. So when you look at all these attributes, you yourself can understand how these attributes are designed. These applications, how are they going to apply in the day-to-day curriculum? So these are the taxonomy of the educational objectives. Anyway, I have just done with my presentation part now. Wherever the important attributes you want to go through, you can go through all that. See, there are number of hours, there is a level of qualification and the minimum graduating credit. All the attributes I have mentioned you, that is 40 hour, 30 hour, 20 hour, 120 hour, because 40 hour is equal to 4 credit. That 4 credit, again, when the SLT is been getting calculated, that 4 credit is equal to 4 into 30 is equal to 430, 120. If it is a 4 credit, means if 3 credit is equal to 120, 4 credit is equal to 160. So in the 160 hours, we have academic, it can be a doctoral degree, it can be master degree, postgraduate diploma, postgraduate certification, bachelor's, graduate diploma, anything. So all these degrees, we need a number of hours. This is the credit hours which the students have to follow if at all they want to go for any kind of an education qualification. So they need to fulfill in their credit hours these attributes. So these are the important credit attributes for the students to learn. So these are the calculations on which people have to learn. That is actually, as I told you, that is there is per day, hourly hour, 6 hours. They have given a sleep 6 hours, sport 6 hours. They have given makan 6 hours, traveling 6 hours. They have given prayer 6 hours. They have given Mandi, that is all these 6 hours. Again, socialism is also 6 hours. Then wastage of time is also 6 hours. Total comes together 6 plus 6 plus 6. That is actually 18 plus 6, 24. 24 plus 6, 30. 30 plus 6, 36. 42, 48. Total hours are 48. Then again, guided learning is 5. We have self learning is 6. We do have student taking 15 credits, that is 15. We have student taking 22 credits, that is 22. These are the total hours. So you can see total number of hours is 24. Here actually 24 plus 12 is 36. 24 plus 145, 60. That is in the balance hour per week. So this is called as SLT calculation, student quality time management, learning time, student quality management or student with my presentation. In case you have any question, please proceed so that I am able to clarify your doubts.
Participants, if you have any questions, you can post it in the comment section.
Good evening, sir. Shall we proceed to vote of thanks?
Yeah, yes, madam.
Good evening, everyone. Any action is incomplete without sense of gratitude. Hence, I'm very humbled and honored to be the one to give vote of thanks for this session. I, on behalf of Department of BCom Accounting and Finance and BCom Corporate Secretaryship, extend a hearty vote of thanks to the guest speaker, Dr. Sharan Kumar Shetty, for gracefully accepting our invitation to share his wisdom. I would like to convey heartfelt thanks to our management members, our Dean, Dr. R. Revati ma'am, and our Principal, Dr. Anita Rajendran ma'am, who always encourages us to reach higher standards. I also thank all the participants for taking part in the program. I would like to extend sincere gratitude to my fellow colleagues who helped in the proceeding of this program. Once again, I thank everyone for having made this program productive and successful. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.